Hey guys, King Sway here, and today we finished the tale of Caleb Shadowfang. I hope you guys have enjoyed the tale so far. If you haven't seen the first one, uh, pop on over and watch that before you watch this one, and then, well, come back to this one. We're going to jump right into it, so roll post. Ever since that evil night, I've tracked Ilvara with the intent of slaying her. The woman I once loved more than anything had killed our children. She had killed them in their sleep. The two greatest joys of my life and the greatest gifts she had ever given me were now taken from me. That night she fled by horse-drawn carriage. I don't know why or how she thought to escape me, knowing I was faster than some horse. After I put my children to rest, I caught her scent quickly, tracking her at once. When I was out of view of anyone, or at least so I thought, I made the change. The added speed helped chase the distance between us. It closed quickly. It was the dead of night, and my black fur gave me the perfect camouflage when I finally caught up to her. Her scent stayed burning in my nostrils as I gave chase. It didn't take too long before I could hear the rattling of the cart and the neighing of the horses. I could feel the thunderous sprint of the horses as she spurred them on and on, trying to make sure that they were going faster and faster. I think, in the back of her mind, she knew I was coming for her. She was in my view. I could smell the fear coming off her and the horses. I howled as I ran, letting Ilvara know I was right behind her. I ran alongside of her, growling and still with anger as my maw snapped at the horse's legs. Their hearts pounded with fear, and the rush of the hunt had gone to me as I sank my claws into one of the horses. Elvar had fumbled inside some kind of small sack, and a few moments later, she had produced some sort of vial. At first, there was a stinging sensation and then white hot burning on the side of my face after the vial smashed and shattered against my face. I yelped before stumbling and tripping over something. I toppled, rolling a few times before rubbing the side of my face against the ground in an attempt to remove whatever it was that was burning. It was causing me so much agony. As I did so, Elvira kept spurring the horses. One was wounded, so she dislodged that from the cart. Cart, driver, and horse all racing further and further away from me now, as I just tried to get this sensation off and away from me. I watched as she sped away. Elvira looked behind her to ensure I wasn't giving chase. I dunked my head in the river, just to wash off whatever concoction she had hit me with. After a while, the pain subsided to a dull throb, but it would take time to heal the damage completely. My face was scarred. I knew she needed to rest, but so did I. I'd managed to hunt a bandit that thought, due to my being nude and unarmed, I posed no threat, and he could just sell me into slavery. He was wrong. I chewed his heart out of his chest. I chewed his heart out of his chest and took his belongings as my own. I used the coin to buy information about where I thought she could have been, running back to the days where I was trained as a mercenary, trying to track her as best I could with either coin or my senses. We played this hunter and prey game for a while, long enough for my face to actually completely heal up and go back to normal again. She never stayed anywhere longer than 3 days, always knowing I was not too far behind her. Eventually, she joined the Silver Hand, a group that hunts down lycanthropes, werewolves like myself, and other were creatures. The family to her scene, whether for vengeance or some sort of sport that differs upon the members. No doubt in my mind, she thought they'd be able to save her, or at least try and keep her safe, or act as some kind of decoy while she ran. I, on the other hand, and no doubt in my mind that I'd slay them all if they came between she and I. My objective altered somewhat after finding out Ilvara moved from one group to the next within the organization. They'd all seemed to be handing her back and forth after finding out that the groups that she was in was attacked viciously. I returned to Whiterun in hopes that the companions had information that I didn't. I hadn't been back in years, and it felt funny to return. I tried to enter my old home, only to find that my key was no longer working. The lock had been changed. I talked to Ayla, and she found out that my house was no longer mine. Since I'd gone for so long, everyone figured I'd never return. My house had been sold and given to the new Thane of Whiterun. Ayla had given me the information I had wanted. I thanked her, and once again gave her some sizable coin for her aid. It didn't take very long before I picked up the trail once again. They were stalking their own prey, never thinking that for one moment they might in turn be someone else's prey. They had been tracking down another lichen, a female that was forced to leave her family to ensure their safety. I stalked them for a while, but was a step behind them when they actually made their move to strike. Silver arrowheads flew from the cover of the darkness, the moonlight glinting off of them right before they struck. By the time I had arrived, the female had fallen victim to the silver hand. She hadn't even the time to make the shift in order to properly defend herself. It sickened me. The members of the hand were gloating over their latest kill as I was unsheathing both of my ebony blades. Before anyone knew what was happening, I had closed in on them, and I had struck. I cut down two before any of them could react. Ilvara turned and looked at me. I could see the blood drain from her face as she beheld my visage. A few arrows flew out at me, but I was able to dodge them without much trouble. Two more go down, and that's all that's left. Ilvara. Part of me wonders why she didn't run. Another me, another part of me wishes she had. She holds up a silver dagger towards me as if that would be some kind of paltry defense. The air reeked of fear and other emotions, and the stench of silver as it burned harshly in my nose. I sheathed my swords as I stalked closer to her. I didn't want this. I didn't want this to end anytime soon. I was going to beat her within an inch of her life with my bare hands. I raised my fist in anger. The image of my twins with their throats cut wide open and the blood still fresh in my mind, years later as if it had just happened. Ilvara fell to her knees and tossed the dagger off to her side. Go ahead. Kill me. Complete your little plan. You're the only lichen I've ever seen that took years to fatten up their prey. Ilvara screamed at me. Fatten you up? You killed our children! I roared back. You were planning to have the three of you feast on me, Ilvara said as she found enough courage to stand up. I'd planned to live the rest of my life with you, and that is all, I proclaimed. Then why didn't you tell me what you were? I looked at her for a moment. That question had entered my mind many times over. I couldn't come with a true answer to it. And then I was honest enough with myself that I could. Of all the things I've fought, of all the monsters I've faced, losing you was the only thing in this world that actually scared me. I didn't know what you'd do. I couldn't tell you. I was afraid of how afraid you'd be. I finally admitted. Ivar just looked at me for a time. Somehow the anger was receding, the tension in my muscles slowly waning. I wasn't the only one that was afraid. You had no plans of sacrificing me to the children as their first kill? Ilvara asked me. I just wanted to share my life with you. You're the first thing in my life that made me happy outside of fighting. Because of you, I had found a life worth living outside of being a mercenary. And then in a flash, you took all of that away from me. I had finally confessed. All this had happened because of fear. My fear of telling the truth, and her fear of what she thought I was going to do. In that moment of realization, I understood we each thought the other was the real monster that needed to die. I turned and walked away, leaving her alive. Ilvara collapsed to the ground and cried openly as she came to the same realization I had. I could have killed her, but the slow and brutal death I had initially had in mind was nothing to the guilt she would now carry for the remainder of her days. End post. Okay, now that was a really sad story. That was sadder than tragedies of Romeo and Juliet, in my opinion. Has anything like that befallen you or someone's character that you know before? Let us know in the comments. I'm King Sway, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.